So for this session, what I want to show you is how to model the doors and windows. And once we do one set of doors and one set of windows, then you're good to go on any size or dimensions on your windows. So I'm going to get started first with the front door. And I have a double door here, but this applies also to a single door. Now, I don't need to see my base, so I'm going to turn that off. And I'm doing this because sometimes it helps to isolate the objects that you're going to be focusing on. And then the other thing too is that right now I can see the brick material on my building. If that is a bit distracting, you can come up here to your styles and you can switch it. So this one says display shade using all the same. This is what we're going to get. Or you can switch it over to using textures, or you can switch it over to shaded mode. And I prefer shaded out of all of them because it just gives me a sense of the color that's on that wall. And this is, for me, helpful. So I'll focus now on this door opening right here. And what I'd like to do is start with the frame. So if I bring back the A-plan layer / tag, I can see that I drew my frame to sit right in between the wall. And if I'm using brick here, I'm going to have a brick return. If you're using siding, then that frame is probably going to come all the way up to the building and maybe past it. So this is entirely up to you, however you want to do this. I'm just going to show you how to use this follow me tool. So you can put in the frame and then adjust the depth of the frame. So I'm going to start here right now. And I'm going to use the frame that I have at this location as a guide. So I'm going to draw a rectangle. And I'm going to start at this corner. And then I'm going to take it over to this corner. You'll see why in just a moment. So I'm going to click right here. So that creates the solid or the surface that I want. I'm going to tap the space bar. And then I'm going to turn off this A-plan tag. So I have the frame, or at least the footprint of it, the profile. And what I want to do is I want to take that frame and let it wrap around, have it go up, over, and down. So I'm going to draw the lines there. All right, so I'm going to come over here to my line tool. And I'm going to draw a line from this endpoint, take it straight up to that endpoint, take it over, click here, and bring it down. And then I'll go ahead and tap the escape key and the space bar. You can't see the lines that I drew, so I'm going to turn off the 3D walls tag. And this is what I have. That red line is just my axis beyond, so let me orbit like this so you don't have to see that. So I have everything I need to begin using Follow Me. So I'm going to come over here, and it's this icon right there that says Follow Me. It says it's going to extrude a face along a path. So click on that. In the bottom left corner, it says click the profile that you want to extrude. I'm zoomed in close enough, but let me just get a little bit closer, pan a little bit like this, and I can go ahead and click on this profile. Give it one click. And then it says move cursor along the desired extrude path. So I'm just going to take it up. Don't click anywhere and just keep moving the cursor so it follows the line, and then bring it down. And when it hits that endpoint, give it a click. And we've just created the overall frame. Hit the space bar, triple click, right click, and make group. So that's my frame. Now I'm going to turn on my 3D walls so you can see what's going on. So, like I said, with brick, it's probably recessed back a little bit. With wood siding or vinyl siding, it probably comes out a bit. I leave it in your hands, whatever you'd like to do. Let me show you how to adjust that. I'm going to double click on my group. Notice how it's hiding everything, but let me bring my wall back. So I'm going to come up here to view, component edit, do not hide the rest of the model. So I'll click on that so it reveals that. And then I'm going to type P for push pull. So I can click here on the surface and either pull it out. And let's say I pull it out by 1 inch. So I type 1 and enter. And then tap the space bar. So now it's sticking out a little bit. And that's fine. Or I want to push it back. So I'm going to type P, click here, and push it back. So I had brought it forward 1 inch. And let's say I want to push it back 1 more inch, and that's for a total of 2 inches. So push back 2, enter. And then tap the space bar and click away from it. So that's going to set it back. If I'm going to do this, I'm just going to bring back my material here for a second, showing the texture. I would have to go into my walls and just change that so that it appears like it's brick on that edge also. Your choice, whatever you'd like to do. And if I do that, I just have to be mindful that if I change that inside face, when I come in here to the building, let me orbit this way underneath like that. It's also going to change the face here. So watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to orbit back around this way, like this. I'm going to double click on my walls. I'm going to come over here to view, component edit, hide rest of model, because I don't want to see that frame right now. And I'm just going to draw a line from this edge, midpoint, take it up, take it over to this midpoint, and then keep drawing a line from this endpoint over. And then bring that line down. Let's see, is it going to draw a line? No, so I have to click on it again. Bring that straight down like this and give that a click. Tap the space bar. And I want it to have the same material as I have on the outside. So I go to my materials, expand that. And I come over here to the eyedropper, sample paint. Click on it. I want to sample this paint, so I select it. And now it gives me the paint bucket, and I want to apply it to this face, that face, or surface, however you'd like to call it, and then one more here. And that's really what would happen. If you're using brick, it's going to stop somewhere there. And then I'll tap the space bar, click outside of my group, and now I have that return. Okay. I digressed a little bit there, but I had to address that little detail. So that's my door frame, and you can pick a material to add to your door frame. For now, let's see if I pick this material, caramel shine, apply it. Maybe too dark. I don't know. I might change it later. So that's what I want to go with right now. The next thing is to put the door in place. So for the door, this is a double door, and you want to make it look like it is a double door. So let me show you how I'm going to do this. And I could, let's see, I could use the AutoCAD drawing, but I'm not going to. I'm going to show it to you this way. I'm going to tap the space bar, and I'm simply going to draw a rectangle. And I'm going to take that rectangle from the midpoint right here in my group. Midpoint here, bring it straight down, and let it hit that endpoint. That's my door, one of them. And then I'm going to tap the space bar and then type P for push pull. And then I'm going to click on it and I'm going to pull it forward on purpose. I'm going to locate this in just a moment. And that door thickness is 1.5 inches. So I'm going to type in 1.5, enter. Tap the space bar. And then triple click, right click, make a group. So that door is floating out in front of the frame. And what I'd like to do now is just come down over here like this. Zoom in here. The door's already selected. I type M for move. And I'm just going to move it from the midpoint here to the midpoint there. And that's going to give me some depth, and that's really what I want. So I'm going to zoom out, orbit here. And that's one door. Now, all I have to do is flip it to the other side. But if I do that, it's flat right here on this edge. Let me show you what I typically do to get that reveal. I will tap the space bar, double click on the door. Notice how it's isolated on just the door, which is great. I'm going to come over here, and this is a little tedious, I'm not going to lie. And I'm just going to come over here to the top. And I'm going to draw a rectangle. And I'll just pick a rectangle. I'll draw it from this endpoint here. I'm going to take it and use the up arrow key so it constrains to the blue axis. There we go, lay it flat. And then from here, I just want a rectangle that's 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch. So I can type either 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch, or I'm going to go quicker and I'm going to type in 0.5, comma, 0.5, enter. And then from here, I'm going to draw a line from this endpoint over to that endpoint like this. Tap the space bar. Type E for erase. I don't need these two lines anymore. And then I'm going to type P for push pull. Take this small surface, click on it, and I'm just going to take it straight down like this, all the way to the bottom. See how it says offset limit 6 feet 8? That's the height of the door. So great. Give it a click. And now I have a beveled edge. And now when I take a look at it at the bottom, you see how it matches. Zoom out. And then tap the space bar, click off of the door. Now I'm going to mirror this. And SketchUp calls it flip. So here's the flip tool. It's either here or you can find it over on the large tool set. Give that a click. First of all, select the object, then select the tool. And I want to flip it. And like I've done in the past when I use this tool, I want to make a copy. So tap the control key and I want to move this axis. So I let it highlight that green axis, that green plane. I'm going to click and drag it until it finds this endpoint, and then release the mouse key. And then tap the space bar and you have yourself a copy. And see how it generates that edge? So when it comes time to add some shadows, I will get that edge. If you wanted to add some hardware, some doorknobs, I'll show you where you can get that later, not yet. And if this is all you do now, this is going to be just fine. I want my doors to be wood, so I'm going to look for a wood material here. I want to make sure it's not a wood floor, so I'm just going to hover. That's plywood. Don't want plywood. That's a floor. I don't want that. That's a wood plank, and that's a wood veneer, so I'm going to use that veneer. Click on that, apply it to the door, and then apply it to the door. Don't worry about the orientation right now. It's fine. That can get fixed later. So I'm going to tap the space bar, and I have my doors. Now, let's say you want to put a glass opening in the door. I'm going to double click on one of the doors. And with that door highlighted, it's the same thing as punching an opening through a wall. And in this case, let's say I want that door window or that glass. I'm gonna go from this backside, by the way, because if I pick on the front side, it's gonna be off a little bit there. Oh, and by the way, let me also switch this back to my shaded mode. And that way I don't have to deal with the materials right now. So I'm going to come back here. And I'm going to pick this edge. So it gets highlighted. I'm going to type M for move. I'm going to move it from this endpoint over. Tap the control key. And let's say I want that glass to come in, well, let's say 6 inches from that edge of the door. So I type 6 and enter. And then it's still highlighted, so I'm going to pick the edge, bring it over, tap the control key. It's making a copy. And let's say I want that glass to be, I don't know, I'm looking at it. If I make it 6, 7, well, let's make it 8 inches wide for now. 8, enter. So I've got my glass width. Now I want my height. So from the bottom, I don't want anybody to kick my glass. So let me tap the space bar, click, let's see, tap the escape key. I went too far, so I'll double click back into my group. I'll click on this edge. It's highlighted. If you can't see it, here, I'll switch over to hidden line mode, and you can see that maybe a little bit better. And then I'm going to type move from this endpoint and tap the control key and constrain to blue axis. So use the up arrow key. So I want this at least 12 inches off the ground. So I type in 12, enter. I'll zoom out here. I'm going to tap the escape key. So it has nothing selected. I'm going to tap the space bar. And then I'm going to come over here, click on this line, type M for move. Move it from this endpoint down, tap the control key, tap the up arrow key to constrain to blue, and then from the top, let's say I want to keep this 8 inches from the top. Or actually, no, I'll match the edge. I'll make that 6. So 6, enter. And then I can type E for erase, these extra lines here, like that. And then type P for push pull, push this through. Let it find that face. There we go. If you can't find the face, while you're in this command, orbit around. And then let it find the face here like this and give that a click. So it generates the opening. And now I'm going to go back to my shade mode like that. Tap the space bar. Click away from the group. And now I just need to put a piece of glass in there. So all I'm going to do is draw another rectangle here. And I'll start at this endpoint. Take it up. And I'll take it to this endpoint like this. It's not glass yet. So I'm going to type P for push pull, click on it. I'm going to bring it forward 1 inch. Actually, 1 inch might be too much, but that's all right. 1 inch, enter. Space bar, triple click, right click, make a group. I have the group. Now I come over here. I'm going to look for glass. And I'm going to select the basic glass. Click on that. Click on the group. And now I can see through. And then I'm going to zoom in here. And I'm going to turn on my X-ray mode because I want to be able to move my glass into the middle of my door. So the glass is already highlighted, but if it's not, just in case it's not, tap the space bar, click away from it. Here we go. Click on the glass. I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to type M for move from that midpoint over to this midpoint. Give that a click. Tap the space bar. Turn off X-ray mode, and you've got your glass in place. Now, if you want to leave it like that, just glass on one side, that's fine. You want to have it on both doors? Great. It's just a matter of taking this door, deleting it. And then we're going to flip. But before I flip, I'm actually going to take the glass and the door. And remember, I can't pick both of them at the same time, so I pick one, hold down my shift key, pick the other one. And now I have 2 objects or 2 solids selected. I know that because I see that in my entity info. And then I'm going to right click and make a group. And yes, I have now made a group out of 2 separate groups. So it's like a nested set of groups here. And that's typical in SketchUp. And now I can flip it. And I'll come over here, tap the control key. Make sure I pick the green axis. Actually, I'm going to flip around to this backside. It's easier for me to do it this way. So I have a nice endpoint there. Click on the green axis and drag all the way until you get to that endpoint. Let it snap to that endpoint. Release the mouse key. And you got yourself a flipped door. And it's a duplicate. And then I just tap the space bar and then click off of it. And then if you believe you're going to be using this same set of double doors elsewhere, well, here's what I would do. I would select one group, hold down my control key, select the other group, still holding down my control key, and I select the frame. And then I right click and I say make group. So now I have a group within a group within a group. Nothing wrong with that. That's typical SketchUp. And it's nice now because I can move that door all as one unit. I'll tap the escape key, tap the space bar. Now is a good time to save before we move on to putting in windows. All right, so for the windows, notice how I have 3 different openings here, and you will have to create 3 different windows. But once you make one window, the others are going to be the same. So I'm going to focus on this front window here. And what I'd like to do is create the frame, just like I created the frame for my door. And then I'm going to put in the window. So I'm going to start with the frame first, but I'm going to do it different than the door. I'm not going to use follow me. I'm going to use offset. So I'm going to draw a rectangle, and I'm going to start at this endpoint, and I'm going to take it over to that endpoint. Notice how it automatically responds and understands that I wanted to constrain to that red axis. But if it didn't do that for you, then use the right arrow key, and then you'll make sure that you are aligning to that constraint. So I'll give this a click. So this is going to be my window. I'm going to tap the space bar. And now to focus on just the window, I'm going to go over here to my default tray. I'm going to collapse my materials. And I'm going to turn off my 3D walls. So I can just focus on this window. So I'll zoom in a little bit here. And now I'm going to offset 2 inches. So I click on offset, hover, and as long as it finds the edge like that and tells me on edge, I give it a click. I make sure I move my cursor to the inside, and I'm going to type 2 and enter. Tap the space bar, click on the interior surface, and tap delete. Makes it go away. Now I want my frame to have a thickness, so I type P for push-pull. I click right here on the surface, and I'm going to bring it out 5 inches. So 5, enter. So that's my frame. Tap the space bar, triple click, right click, make a group. Done with the frame. Now it's time to put the glass in. So draw a rectangle from one endpoint to the other endpoint. P for push pull. Click on it, and I bring this out. I'll type in 1 and enter. Spacebar, triple click, right click, make a group. And that glass is sitting in front of my frame. So I'm going to go to my X-ray mode, and I'm going to make sure that I take that glass. It's already highlighted. I type M for move. I'm going to move it from this endpoint, or midpoint rather, over to this midpoint and click. Zoom it out, tap the escape key, tap the space bar, turn off X-ray mode, and then I'm going to turn on my 3D walls because it's sitting out front. I'm getting there nice and slow. What I want to do is I want to match the frame material for my door and also match the glass. So I'm going to pan over this way, zoom in a little bit, expand my materials, go to the eyedropper, sample the paint. I want to sample the frame. So I click on the frame and then I apply it to this frame. And then I go back to the um, sample paint icon, the eyedropper. I want to sample this paint, which is the glass. Shows me that it's basic glass, and I want to apply it to this solid. Done. Tap the space bar. And then I'm going to make this a group so it's easier to move it. So I'm going back to my tags. I'm going to turn off the 3D walls. Now instead of picking each one individually and holding down the control key, I just window it all like this. One big window, right click, and make group. So now when I pick one, it'll pick both. Turn on my 3D walls. It's still sitting out a bit far. And here's where I go back to my 3D mode. I see my window, my wall thickness. Here's my window. I pick the window. I type M for move from this midpoint over to that midpoint. Give it a click. Tap the space bar. Click away from your objects. Turn off X-ray mode. And if you want, have it show you the textures. And you'll have to do the same thing here with the brick. And then if you want to drop in a windowsill, you know, like you typically see, you can do that. If you want to leave it without one, that's fine also. But here's what I would do. I would just draw a rectangle. And let me show you what I'm going to do here. Actually, before I do the rectangle, I'm going to switch over to shaded mode. And it might actually be easier if I go into hidden line mode. So let's see, will that work? No. Let me try something else here. No, I don't want to see back edges. Okay, this will work. This is fine because it is just showing me lines. That's fine. All right, and I'm going to just go this way, draw a line. I'm going to click here. I'm going to take that line straight down. And the thickness of my sill should be 2 inches, 3 inches. And I think for the sake of what we're showing here, I think 3 inches should be enough. So I'm going to type 3, enter. Okay. I just wanted that endpoint there. I'm going to tap the space bar, zoom out a little bit, and then I'm going to draw a rectangle from this endpoint. Let's see. I want to make sure I zoom in and it picks the right endpoint. That one there. Take it over this way. Pick that endpoint. Great. It's created that surface. I just can't see it because of the display mode I'm in. Type P for push-pull. Click on that. Pull it out. And the distance here, 2 inches should be enough. So I type in 2 and enter. Now, let's go back so it shows me my materials. There we go. So that's my windowsill. Now, you'll notice that there's a bit of a return here on my brick. It doesn't matter, but if you wanted to get real technical here, you could. Otherwise, I'm going to show you a little cheat. I'm going to take this surface. I'm going to type P for push-pull. Click on that. And I'm just going to bring it up a simple 1/8 of an inch. 1/8, enter. And that's going to just help me out tremendously because then I'm going to orbit back here like this. Watch how close I'm getting to this. There we go. Even closer. There we go. And then type P for push-pull. I take this surface and I just bring it right back so it aligns to that edge. Click on it. Done. And that saved me a lot of time. These are the little cheats that come in handy. And then, of course, if you wanted to, you could angle that so it's sloping down because that's what these sills will do to keep the rain away. It's just a matter of picking that edge, taking that edge, and just moving it down. I'm not going to do that now. I'm just going to leave it alone. The other thing also is with older homes, you're going to see the sill sticking out a little bit on either side. Newer homes, it doesn't do that as much. Your choice. If you want to leave it the way it is, fine. If not, you just type P for push-pull. Take this. Just bring it out. I would say a good inch is enough, or 2, whatever you'd like. I'm going to use 1 inch there. I'll come over to the other side and then click right here, take it out, 1 inch there, enter. Tap the space bar, triple click, right click, make a group. And you notice right here at this corner, see that's showing me nice detail. Depth is really important in these models. We want to be somewhat realistic. We don't want everything to be on the same plane. So that's giving me a really nice corner, a nice feel for that window in the frame sitting in the wall, and then I have a sill. The sill, I think I want to make that concrete. So let me just come over here. No, sorry, concrete or uh, no, I want a stone. I'm sorry. I thought I wanted concrete, but I'm going to go to stone over here. Let's see if I find a good stone. That's marble. I was looking more for um, just a regular stone sill. So I guess I will go with concrete for now because this looks more like limestone sill. So I'll pick this one here, concrete. I'll apply it there, and that should be good enough. Okay. So the way I did this window, same applies to the other windows. But I want to show you one last thing, and that is if you wanted to divide this, if you wanted to, have this picture window and then just have some divisions in it, I'm going to show that to you real quick, and then we'll be all set. I'm going to turn off the 3D wall tag. And then this is my frame. I'm going to double click it. And I'm in the group now, and then I'm going to double click the frame so I can focus on just that. There we go. And then what I want to do is just show a mullion in between here, and it's going to be right down the middle. So I'm going to draw a line, and on the line, you see where it says midpoint here? I'm going to click on that midpoint, and then I'm going to come back here and let it go to that midpoint, like that. And then tap the space bar. I'm going to pick the line, and I want my mullion to be, let's say, the same 2 inches as my frame, or maybe a little bit less, let's say 1 inch. So I'm going to move this line. I'm going to type M. I'm going to click on this midpoint here. I'm going to move it over in this direction. Let's see. If I want it 1 inch thick, I'm going to move it over 1/2 inch. So it's going to be 0.5. Enter. And then while the line is still highlighted, I'm going to click on it. And then I'm going to make a copy. So tap the control key. And I'm going to copy it in this direction. Now, 1/2 inch plus the other 1/2 inch, that's my 1 inch. So I type 1 and enter. And then I type P for push-pull. Take this surface, click on it, and just take it straight up like this. And let it touch the edge. Give that a click. All set. Go to X-ray mode. Make sure you get rid of those extra lines. So I'm going to click on, or rather I'm going to type E for erase. I don't need that line. And I also don't need this one back here. Zoom out, pan, zoom in here. Those are already gone, so we're in good shape there. So it takes care of that. And now if I want to go in the other direction, it's the same process. So turn off X-ray mode, L for line, let it find the midpoint. There we go. And then let it find the midpoint over here. Give that a click. What I'll do now is type M for move. It will select the line. I'm hovering over it. Give it a click. I'm going to move it up along blue axis. So I'm going to use the up arrow key. Move it up 0.5 inches. And then click on it again. And this time tap the control key. Going to make a copy. Up arrow key to constrain to blue. And I'm going to type in 1 and enter. And then P for push-pull. Give that a click. Take it over. And it's going to stop there. There's nothing you can do about that. So just let it stop there. Give that a click. And let's see if this will work. I've not done this in a while. If I go to X-ray mode, it doesn't let me pick that face. No, it's not going to let me do it. So here's what I'll do. I'll draw a line from here across to that face and then take it back this way on the edge. Oh, didn't pick it. That's all right. There we go. Do this again. Line here, let it go there. Line here, straight back there. E for erase because I don't need this one or that one. And then P for push pull this face over to the other side. Like this. Done. Back to X-ray mode. Extra lines I don't need. I'm going to erase this one. There's one back there. Just be real careful. Orbit around as needed. And then I have a couple more lines over here. Erase this one, and then I'll erase that one. And that gives me my picture window. And then tap on the X-ray mode, turn that off, tap the space bar, click outside the window, and then click outside the group, and then turn on your 3D walls. And notice how it's one single piece of glass. That saved me a lot of time, and then I just made this division here. So that's how you can do that. And if you want to divide it differently, it's up to you. That's just a way of doing it. Okay, and then the very, very, very last thing I'm going to do, my doors and windows, they're still untagged. So I'm going to create a new tag here. This is going to be 3D. Let's see. Yeah, 3D. And I'm going to call this doors and windows. You can call it anything you want. Enter. And I'm going to pick my group here. Scroll up to the top. Tag it under 3D doors and windows. Pick this group, which contains some nested groups. 3D doors and windows, all set. Let me check and see if it put it on the correct tag. And yes, it did. And then this sill, it's still sitting out there. Nothing wrong with that, but I'm going to pick it and I'm going to put that on my 3D walls. And now everything is categorized or tagged. So this is how much progress I've made so far. And I'll stop there. And then I want you to think about what type of a roof you would like to put on the building, because that would be one of the next steps. There's still more to do, but the roof is something that I want you to think about. Do you want a hip, a gable, a shed, flat? And then I can show you how to put that roof on there. So make sure you save and you're all set. Making some progress here on this model.